Welcome everyone, good afternoon. My name is Andrew, if we haven't met before. I work in the support team at MiClub, and today I'm going to take you through this webinar on the MiScore app. We'll kind of break it down into 3 or 4 parts. Firstly, we'll take you through the setup for setting up a new user in the app. Then we'll go through some common issues and troubleshooting questions that come up from time to time. And then we'll take you through some hidden tips and features of the app that you might not be aware of. And we'll have some time at the end for questions. Okay, so we'll take you through the setup for a new user. And there are 2 steps to the MiScore login that you've probably come across. The first one is a general profile login. And this is kind of controlled. We control this aspect of the system. And then the second part is a club login, which is related to each club's specific member database. So in terms of the MiScore profile, once a user has downloaded the app, this is the first screen they will see. So they just need to go ahead and select Create MiScore Profile. I'll just do that one more time. You're selecting Create MiScore Profile, and then it'll ask you, there's a little disclaimer here, just have to select I agree. Takes you to the next screen. Now you will notice there are 4 options for creating a profile. 3 of them are external to the MiClub system. So the first one is an Apple login, and then the second one would be a Google login or a Facebook. So I just got an example here with the Apple one. If the user does select sign in with their Apple ID, it'll ask them permission, just they hit continue. And then it brings up here a login screen for their Apple ID. So this is kind of taking them out of the app, and it's now connecting with the Apple ID on their phone. So if they are going to use one of these 3 options up the top here, we don't store any of that password information. So if they sign up with the Apple ID and then later they're trying to log in and they've forgotten their password, it's a bit difficult for us on the support side to help them. So we generally recommend they sign up with email, as that data is stored in our system. So if they do select sign up with email, it will ask them to enter their name, email address, and password. But at least that way, if the password is forgotten at any moment, then they can contact support and we can help to reset that for them. Now, if they do this method, once they hit sign up, they will get a confirmation sent to their email address. They just have to open that email, confirm it, and then they'll be able to log in. And I'll just show you then, once the profile has been created, then instead of selecting Create MiScore Profile, they're going to select Log into MiScore down here, and the screen will look similar. Again, if it's with one of those first 3 options, the system will prompt them to enter their password related to that account. However, if they have signed up with email, then they would enter their username and password. Now, one small little thing you will see here, you've probably seen this little I symbol before for passwords. So we get a lot of calls where members, they know their password, but they've just entered it incorrectly. So this might be helpful for, especially maybe some of the older members. You can use this little symbol here to make sure they're entering their password correctly. Now, if they have forgotten their password, they can reset it themselves by hitting the forgot password button down here. And then they enter their email address, and it will send them a link to the email, which they can then use to reset their password, which they can enter to get back into the system. Now, once they've successfully logged in, they'll see a screen that looks like this, where you've got this Add Club button. So when they're adding their home club, they first need to search for it. There's an example here for me adding my home club. And once that's added in there, they need to select the member login button. Now, this can be slightly confusing. If we play it through, you'll see here. Where did that go? It asks for membership number and password. Now, in your golf system at your club, here's a little screenshot example here. You have 2 sections. Here is the membership details. That's my member number there, 336. And then my login details are on the other side of the page. And you can see my username here is also 336. But what you need to enter into the app is the username, not actually the member number. Now, in a lot of cases, you probably find that these match up, and really they should be matching up. However, if you find that you have a member where this doesn't match, what you need to enter into the system is their username. That's what gets entered into here. We can also change that for you. So if you have a member with this mismatch and you want to be able to align the two, you can contact support and we can help you set that up or change that. And again, that password that you're entering here is the same password that the members are using when they're logging into your site to book golf. They're both linked. Again, once the login has been successful, they should see a welcome message with their name that shows them that they are logged in correctly. Now they can reset their password for their member login. They can do it via the app through here using this button here. And you'll notice when you do hit that, it does take them out of the app. And now this is going to Keylaw's member site. And they can enter either their member number or their email address or golf link number, which will then allow them to set a new password. But again, important, whenever this password is changed, it's linked in both systems. So if they do change their password, they're using it to log into MiScore under their member login, but also their password that will then change for the golf system. Okay. A small thing here, and this is mainly for Android phones. So you'll see here, when I start to enter the password, I'm going to hit this caps lock button here, but you'll notice that it actually stays locked on. So I've hit it, and now I'm pressing G, and every G I enter is now capitalized. Now on the iPhone, once you hit the caps lock button once, it only capitalizes that first letter that you hit, and then it drops it down to lowercase. But on the Android phone, you have to manually press it once, put here, press G, and then switch it off, and then continue entering the password. So that's another common one that we see. Again, if someone is getting stuck or then they're not sure if they're entering the password correctly, just use that little I symbol. And yeah, if they are using Android, you just have to remember this little step. Okay. And then once the member has logged into the system under their member login, the kind of final part that they need to set up is their subscription. So again, if you have a club subscription and the member's only playing at your club, then they don't need to worry about purchasing their own. But if you don't have a club subscription, or if the member wants to use the app at multiple clubs, they need to purchase their own subscription, and they do that by hitting this subscribe button at the bottom. Take it through, you hit here, it opens to the next page. It'll ask you if you want to subscribe, you press yes. And then they're going to hit this subscription button. It does show them the price here, the annual cost, and it does include a 14-day free trial. So what happens with the trial is if you sign up today, basically get 2 weeks free. If they don't cancel within those first 2 weeks, then they'll be charged automatically after those 2 weeks. And we'll just play it through. You'll now notice that here I'm accessing it on my iPhone. It's now brought up this App Store confirmation. So what it's doing is because we don't actually take any payments or process any payments directly for the app. They go via the Apple ID, via the App Store for iPhone users. And for Android users, it goes via the Google Play Store. So before a user can subscribe, they first need to set up either an Apple ID or a Google Play account. Then they need to attach payment method to the Apple ID or Google Play account, which when we get to this part, if I hit subscribe here, it's now going to link to my Apple ID to process that payment. And I don't think, yeah, and again, it will, when you get to this section, because now this is kind of leaving the app, it's going to the Apple part of the software. It's asking for, geez, sorry, it keeps playing. It's asking for my Apple ID password, not my MiScore password. Okay. And then the next section, once a user has subscribed and they want to check their subscription, they can do this via the menu. So what I'm going to do is play it. You want to hit the menu button. I'll just do that one more time, sorry. You want to hit this menu button at the top of the screen. And then from the menu, scroll down until you see Manage Subscription here. And it'll take a few seconds to load. And what it will show us is it'll show the date that I signed up. So again, an important point here, this is showing when I first signed up for the app, but it doesn't show me when it renews because there's that 14-day free trial. So even though I started on the 25th, my payment came out on the 8th of February. Again, that doesn't show you this here. You basically use this button here to check, firstly, is your subscription active, which it will be if it's showing here, or you can cancel it via here. If the member wants to see their exact renewal date, they have to go out of MiScore and into the Apple ID settings for an iPhone user or the Google Play if they're an Android user. And then if they go to the subscription section, they can see firstly their payment method and also which date the app will renew. And with the renewal, it renews automatically every year on the same date. So if someone wants to cancel, they have to cancel it before the renewal date because that payment will come out automatically. That pretty much covers subscriptions. And then the only final thing a user needs to do to get the app working, they just need to check their profile details. So again, from the menu in the app, you scroll down to profile details. It'll then show the username, email address, and gender. Now, one little thing, if they are an iPhone user, if they signed up with their Apple ID, this email won't show. Apple has a certain privacy policy that hides email addresses, so it'll have like a scrambled code here, but that's not that important. Important is that their name matches exactly what's in the Golf system and the same as their gender. This is, you'll notice you might get errors with visitors playing in comps where they can't find their registration. And I'll show you an example a bit later, but this is where they can update those details if they're a bit incorrect. Okay, so that covers all of the setup part. Now we're going to go into some issues and troubleshooting that you might come across. And the first one is a lack of internet connection or a problem with the connection. So this will manifest in one of two ways. Firstly, they might see this for error. Alternatively, they may get stuck on the loading screen. So when they open their MiScore app, you'll have this blue circle that spins around. It should only take 10 to 15 seconds before it logs in. But if it's still spinning like this after, say, 30 seconds, then there's a problem with the internet connection. So I'll show you how to do this on an iPhone. There's a little trick you can use. You just want to go to the settings and mobile. And you want to switch mobile data off, on again. This works like magic. I don't know why, but sometimes it just loses the connection, and then just simply doing that will get them straight into the app. On an Android phone, it's basically the same, but it's in a slightly different section. I've written it down here: settings, connections, data usage, mobile data. Another thing, if that doesn't work, just ask the member if they have a VPN, if they're accessing their data via a VPN. That can sometimes block it from working, so they might need to disable that. The next most common kind of query we get is members with a new phone. So the first thing they do once they've opened the app on their new device, they log in to MiScore using their initial sign-in method. Now, if it's been quite a while, they may forgot which one of those they used. If they've forgotten, just get them to contact our support team and we can help them sort that out. Once they're logged in, if their new device is on the same platform, so if they had an iPhone previously, now they've purchased a new iPhone, they can basically just restore the subscription. So I'll show you that here. So they're going to hit the subscribe button at the bottom and then yes, subscribe. But this time, instead of hitting the subscribe button, they're going to hit restore subscription. Now I'll show you in this case when it doesn't actually work. So I'm going to hit restore. And if they get this message, failed to restore, they have to check, let's say if we stick with the iPhone example, that they are logged into the same Apple ID. So when they first signed up to MiScore on their iPhone, they were logged into a certain Apple ID. If they've, on their new device, have created a new Apple ID, then the subscription won't be found. If they've done that, they'll need to contact support and we can help them through that. But if it's the same Apple ID, they just need to make sure they're logged in on their phone, and then this restore function will work. If they're changing platforms, if they're going from iPhone to Android or vice versa, they'll need to contact us to help them with their subscription transfer. Also, their score history won't automatically transfer to the new phone. So if they open the app on the new phone and they say the score's missing, they'll need to contact us and we can help them do that part. Okay, this is another kind of common one I'm sure that you've come across. I'll just show you what the error looks like if you have forgotten. So you've got a visitor playing at your club and they're selecting comp guest on the app. And they're getting this "you are not registered in a comp" error. So the first thing to make sure, are they actually registered in the timesheet? The second thing is the name in the app that we covered before under profile details needs to match exactly how it's shown in the timesheet. If there's a mismatch, then they can check that with you, and then they can update that here in the app. There's another trick you can use, which is to remove the club, add it again, and then try comp guest. Sometimes that will fix it, and I'll show you another example later where you will need to do that. And the final point is we do from time to time get members who add their home club, but they don't log in. And then they just say, oh yeah, comp, I'm playing comp, I'm going to hit comp guest. And then they say, oh, but I'm not registered. So just make sure if it's a member, they can't use comp guest at their home club. They have to go in under member login. And if you do have visitors playing, this is another important one. If you have public players that play at your course, look, to be honest, it can be confusing because here we have a public player booked in. The system will allow you to attach a golf link number to a public profile and it'll show you the player's GA handicap, but they can't use MiScore and they can't play in the comp. So what you'll need to do if you have a public player, if you've accidentally put their golf link number on their public profile, you'll need to remove that. And then you'll need to book them in as a visitor with their golf link number. And then they can score in MiScore using comp guest only if they're a visitor, not if they're a public player. And then there's another one here relating to social scoring. So if a player is at your club and just wants to play around without registering in a comp, they can use the score social function. And you'll notice when they do that, they've got a list here of courses that they can choose from. So here we've got 18 holes, 1 to 9, 10 to 18. So you might notice some of your courses that you are using for comps are missing from social, and that's just because they haven't been enabled in the back end. So if you do know how to get to the courses section of your site, you need to edit the particular course that's missing and make sure this MiScore social box is ticked, and then whatever name you put in here will display in the app in this part here. Now, again, you can hide. If you wanted to remove a social course, you can do it here. If you're not familiar with this part of the system and you want to be able to add or rename courses, just contact our support team and we can help you through that process. Okay, yeah, other kind of small errors you may come across, leaderboard doesn't show, can't find playing partner, handicap is showing the app, but it's like maybe an older handicap. For multi-tee comps, you can sometimes have issues, or if a member has a new golf link number, there's 2 quick things you can try. The first thing is to restart the app. So you hit the menu button at the top, and then you scroll right to the bottom until you see restart app at the bottom, hit restart, confirm it. And once you log back in, go back in and check, is the leaderboard displaying? Can I find my playing partner? If that hasn't worked, the next step is to remove the club using this button here. Yeah, then confirm it, then add the club again, search for it, and then try again. Now, the only thing with removing the club, the reason why we ask you to restart first, if it's a home club and you remove it, they'll have to do their member login again. So sometimes this can create a new problem where they've forgotten their login and then it's going to take them 5 to 10 minutes to get back in. So try and do it with the restart first. But if that doesn't work, yeah, they may need to remove the club from their app. Cool. So that pretty much covers errors and troubleshooting. And now we're going to look at some hidden features and tips of the app that you may not be aware of. So the first one is find playing partner. So when a player gets to the scoring screen after they've registered, they'll be able to see all of the playing partners in their group that they can select from. But they can also use this find player button here. This will search the entire timesheet and allow them to select any player to score. Now, the only thing is it'll only work for a singles comp. If it's a team event like a foursomes or an Ambrose, they won't be able to do that. The groups need to be pre-managed in the timesheet, but for singles comps, they can use this find player feature. Total scores. I'll just show you an example here where we've got a scorecard, and under the total button, there's nothing there, but you can see I've input scores on a few holes, but that total score wasn't showing. That's because there's a setting that needs to be toggled on. So you have to go to the menu, settings, total scores enabled, switch that on. If you now go back to the scoring screen, you'll see that that total score pops back up again. And then the whole index can be checked by clicking on the shots. So if I'm on the first hole, if I click on shots, it shows me the index for this hole. If I swipe to the next hole, I can do the same thing, click on that, and it shows me the index again. And then we have GPS. Yeah, this one, there's a few parts to this. So the first part, if a player is on the scoring screen and they can't see any distance here, which is where it would appear, the first thing to do is to go to the menu, and then settings, and scroll down until you see locations enabled. Switch that on. Once that's switched on, go back to the scoring screen, and you should have your distance there. And once you press on it, it should bring up the satellite map. Okay, so that's part one. If that doesn't work, or if that works to get the distance showing, but it looks way wrong, the distance looks totally wrong, the next step is the setting we have to change in the phone itself. So this is an iPhone example again. So what we're going to do is hit the settings button on the phone, then scroll down to privacy and security down here, location services. Now, the first thing is location services has to be on. Once that's on at the top there, scroll down the list until you find MiScore. So for me, it's just here. Select MiScore, and you need these two settings on. You need allow access while using the app, and you need precise location on. This controls the accuracy of the distance. Now, on an on an Android phone, it's exactly the same. You'll have the same options while using the app precise, but in order to get to this menu, it's slightly different. You go via location app permissions and then hit those same settings. So after you've done that, then go back to the app and you should get now an accurate reading. If that hasn't worked, then please contact support and we may need to look into it a bit further. But 99% of the time that will fix it. Now there is an additional feature with the GPS function. So you can see here, the blue marker shows your current location on the course, and the red marker shows the position, the middle of the green position. Now, what I can do is I can press on any part of the screen and it'll create this intermediate point. So you can see here, I'm trying to get a distance to the hazard, the bunker hazard. It then shows me my distance to that point, and then from that point to the green. I have a live example, which I'll show you now. Now this, again, I recorded this when I wasn't at the course, so the distance is wrong, but just ignore it. So if I press on that, you can see here, that's my location. And then there's the green, the whole one. And if I press my finger here on the screen, it'll create that intermediate point. There we go. And then if I press here, it'll do the same thing. And it's giving you this 2-part distance that you can use to identify any part of the course. And you can zoom all the way in with your fingers, and you can see it's pointing to the middle of the green. Now, by default, all of the GPS locations are mapped to the center of a green. You can set a pin location. It requires a bit of setup and a bit of work. Someone has to go around the course and in the app map exactly where the pin locations are, and every time they change. But if you want to set that up, please contact support, and we can help you do that part. Okay, there's a putts feature. I'm sure most of you probably know it by now, but I'll just show you in case. So normally, if the feature's off, after you've put your score in for a hole, you swipe to the next hole. It'll just go, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. If you go to the menu and then settings, putts enabled at the top. If you switch that on, and then you go back to the scoring screen, you now see when I swipe to the next hole, it's asking me to input my putts. So I can increase the number of putts there or decrease there. And same thing, next hole, and then as you swipe, it allows you to put in your putts. Now, the putts data is available as a separate report in the golf system. So if you haven't used that before, but you'd like to get access, please contact support and we can help set up that report for you. There's a lost ball timer in the app that you may not be aware of. So at any time during your round, if you press on here where it's showing your round time, it'll start a 3-minute countdown timer. If I press it, I then get my 3-minute countdown timer to help me make sure I'm not spending too much time looking for a lost ball. And then once you press back on the round time button, it then just disappears from the screen. That's a cool little feature. This is another one that sometimes comes up. So right now, I'm not a member of Brisbane River. It's in my app here. If I click on the menu, the app, and you can see here the handicap, my stats, match plays all grayed out. Now, if I go back out screen, if I swipe across to a club that I am logged into, so I'm logged into here, Keilor, I now do the same thing and go to the menu again, you'll see that handicap, my stats, and match plays available. Now, my stats, if you're not familiar, I'll just show you what that looks like. Just shows you can just set a date range. It shows you, your last few holes and a bit of data that might help you analyze your game a little bit. And the handicap, the handicap button actually takes you out of the app. It links to Golf Australia's database, and so you can see your full handicap history by pressing that button. But important is, even though I was logged into Keilor at the start, if it's not displayed in the app view here, when you go to the menu, you won't see that. So just make sure if a member's saying that they can't see any of that, they have to swipe across to make sure their home, to make sure their home club is displaying and selected, then they can go to the menu to access those features. Cool. And then the last one is preferred courses. So again, if you're someone who plays at a heap of clubs and you've got too many to manage it can be hard to find which club is where in the app. You can press this gold star button at the top and it'll move any club that you press to the front of the queue. And you can do this to put them in order. So if I hit Metro, Metro goes first, and then the second last club I pressed was next in the list there. So that's a good way to help players organize their app if it's a little bit messy, or you can also just remove some of the clubs you haven't played at. Cool. So that is it for content. So hopefully that was very valuable. And we'll open it up to questions now. Okay, first question. Where can I set up local rules to show in the app? Okay, I'll just go back to the presentation. One sec. local rules, if we go back to, it's in the menu, I think. Oops, sorry, what happened there? I'm pretty sure I walked past it before, local rules. Here we go. So again, from you select the menu at the top, and that's where the member will see the local rules. But so I didn't see if the question was how to set up the local rules or how to view the local rules. To set up, so the local rules are set up in the golf system under the competitions module, where you've got your list of all your daily competitions. There's a setup button. You press setup and then local rules, and that allows you to go in and add any rules. Once you save it, it'll update in the app automatically. Cool. Let's see what else we got here. Members. Yeah, there's a few questions about the nearest to pin. I think Mackenzie has answered those in the chat. What else have we got here? Member at our club, do they log in as a member or comp guest? Yep. Local rules. Where can members set up private comps on the app for OS trips? Okay, so you can set up private comps. Some courses, again, if I go, I'll just show quickly. So when you're adding a club, you can search in here for any club that's available in the app. Now, I'm not sure if we have too many overseas clubs. I think there are some from New Zealand in there. But if someone's playing overseas or playing somewhere and they can't find the course in the app, they can reach out to support, and then we can see if we can help them to get that course in the app. Okay. Did you enter the rules to show on everyone's app? Yeah. How to send messages to members booked into a comp. Yeah, so there's a push notifications feature. The messages, if you do send a push notification out from the system, you will see it in the menu up here. Sorry, that's not it. Where are we? So any push notifications that are sent out from your system will show, will show here in the messages section of the members app. Again, if you're not familiar with push notifications, please contact support and we can help you send them out. Match play. Yes, there's a question about members using match play to. I'll just show. That's a good one, actually. So there are some cases where members figured out a kind of workaround to get access to the booking sheet. So what they were doing is going into the app and then accessing the match play button here and then getting access to the booking sheet. This was never intended to work like that. It's kind of a clever workaround that some members have found. So this will be blocked at some point to stop members doing that. The MiScore app is intended only for scoring, not for bookings. So if members want to access bookings, they're either going to have to do it via the club app, the One Golf app, or via the website. Okay. Hills. There's a question about Ambrose competitions to record tee shots. I'm not sure about that one. I think that one's with our development team looking into that, whether we can add tracking of tee shots for Ambrose players, but at the moment we don't have that feature available. There's invalid credentials. Does the default password month expire? There's a question about whether passwords expire. I don't think it's the case that the password expires. I think it might be if they haven't logged into the system in a while, their account may become locked. So if that is the case, they will need to contact us and we will need to unlock their account. Sometimes that shows up as invalid credentials, or it'll just give them like a system error if they haven't logged into the system in quite a while. There's a question here about players registering themselves in comps. So I'm not sure if you mean who asked that question? Rick Warren. There's a question, how come some members can register themselves in comps and others cannot? So I'm assuming your club has self-registration enabled. If you do, then they need to be booked into the timesheet in order to register themselves. But if you've got that feature enabled, they should be able to register themselves. What else have we got? Club. Okay, there's a question. I think Mackenzie answered it, but I'll just cover it because it's a good one. If you've got a member who's also a member at another club, but let's say their home club is a different club, they're in your system as a member, but they're an away member because they're golf links from another club. When they play at your club, they still have to use member login. They can't use comp guest because they're in your system as a member. So their golf link numbers attached to their member profile. So even though it's an away member, they can only play as a member, not as a comp guest. Yeah, so again, there's another near-pin question. We haven't covered near-pin today. It is quite a complex topic, and there are still some changes and updates to the near-pin feature. So again, if you have any specific issues, please contact support, and we'll try and help you through that. Understanding that, yeah, it is a new feature, and it's not quite working in all ways that, or it's working in ways that might be a bit difficult to work out at the moment. So please contact support, and we'll try and help you through that. Will there be an option down the track to have fixtures on MiScore? No, as I mentioned earlier, the MiScore app is intended only for scoring. So any bookings or fixtures will need to be accessed either via the club app or the club website or the One Golf app if you're a One Golf customer. Like I said, there's a workaround with the match play feature that you can get access to fixtures, but it was never intended to work like that in that way, and it won't be available in the future. Cool. There's a question about, is there an option to set up single scoring in 4 balls? That's from Chris. Can you be a bit more specific what you're asking, Chris, to set up single scoring in 4 balls? So I'm assuming you're setting up a 4 ball as a standalone at the moment, and you're wanting to know if you can do it, that they score in a singles format, and then, yeah, please just clarify exactly what you're asking there. Is there a chance the MiScore app will be on the club app? There's a question from Warrigal. Is there a chance the MiScore app will be on the club app? I'm not sure. No, if you mean the Warrigal app, no. MiScore will always be a separate app compared to the club app. Thanks, Chris. Some older members get confused in selecting the team score per hole. Yeah, so Chris, you can set up a 4 ball as a singles event with a 4 ball in conjunction. So that way the members will score in their app as a single Stableford, for example, and then the 4 ball score gets calculated separately. That's very easy to do, very common. If you need some help on doing that, please contact support and we can help you set that up. Here's a question about scoring from Sarah. The submit button doesn't go blue for them to press. Members have to sign the scoring. Members have to sign their scoring, the submit button. So if the member can't submit their score, it could be that they've lost internet connectivity. It might also be that they're missing a score for a particular hole. Generally, though, they will get a message. Let's say if they missed a score for the 9th hole, when they get to the confirmation screen, it will say score missing for hole 9, and then they can press hole 9 and go back and enter the score. But I don't think that's what you're asking. Yeah, I would imagine it's probably something due to internet connectivity, because once they're at the confirmation screen, as long as them and their playing partner have signed their names, they should be able to submit the score. If it's maybe particular to the same members, maybe contact us and we might need to investigate. But yeah, that shouldn't be a common issue, really. In some of our teams' events, is there a change of having two booking sheets, one for scoring in the group, another to work out team score? So this is from Phil. In some of our teams' events, the member teams play in different groups. The team members play in different groups. Is there a change of having two booking sheets, one for scoring? Oh, I think I know what you mean. No, Phil, there's no way to do that. I think the only thing you can do is, yeah, if the people playing together are not, if their scores won't be calculated together, I think what you'll need to do is have them in the timesheet according to their playing groups. They put their scores in, and then once the scores are in, you'll have to manually move the players and to put them in the correct group so that the team score calculates according to the new group. I think that's the only way you can do that one. Yeah, Mackenzie did mention if with this problem submitting scores, maybe they do have a mobile data problem, they can also jump on Wi-Fi when they're in the clubhouse and see if that fixes the problem. Yeah, thank you all for your time today. Hope you all found that useful. Yeah, any feedback or any further questions, please reach out. Yeah, otherwise, hope everyone has a good day. Thank you.